Butter. It is made by churning cream until the fat separates and forms a solid mass. The remaining liquid is drained off as buttermilk. What is left is an emulsion of mostly butter fat along with water and milk solids. When heated, the water turns to steam, which slows down browning, while the milk solids are what eventually toast and develop flavor. Because those components react at different speeds, butter moves quickly from melted to brown to burnt, which is why timing matters when cooking with it. Salted butter. Butter with added salt, usually around 1 to 2%, shifts both flavor and stability. The salt enhances overall taste, while slightly muting the natural sweetness of the cream. That added salt can throw off recipes where the salt level is measured precisely. It is mainly used for spreading, finishing, or cooking when the salt is already built in. Unsalted butter. Butter without added salt, which keeps both the flavor and composition predictable. That matters in baking and sauces where small changes in salt levels affect structure and balance. Because nothing is added, the natural dairy flavor comes through more clearly. It is used when you need full control over seasoning. Sweet cream butter. It is made from fresh pasteurized cream that has not been fermented before churning. Structurally, it is the same as standard butter, but the lack of fermentation means it browns more cleanly and produces a simpler flavor when heated. This is the default style used in most cooking and baking: high-fat butter. Butter made with a higher fat content, typically from 82 to 86%, which means less water and a denser structure. With less moisture to evaporate, it browns faster and creates a richer texture in baked goods. The lower water content also affects doughs, making them less elastic and more tender, especially in pastry where structure depends on how much water is present. Cultured butter. It is made by fermenting cream before churning using bacteria that convert lactose into lactic acid. That process introduces acidity and changes the fat structure, giving the butter a slightly tangy flavor and a firmer texture. The fermentation also develops the milk solids, which brown faster and produce a deeper, more complex flavor when heated. This makes cultured butter especially effective in baking and in sauces where browning plays a role in the final taste. Grass-fed butter. Made from the milk of cows that primarily eat grass, this diet changes the composition of the fat. It contains more carotenoids, giving it a deeper yellow color and slightly shifts the fatty acid profile. The difference is subtle in cooking, but more noticeable when used directly. Goat butter. Butter made from goat's milk rather than cow's milk. That change alters the fat structure and the flavor. Goat milk contains smaller fat globules and different fatty acids, which give the butter a naturally softer texture and a more tangy, slightly earthy taste. The difference is noticeable even without heating, so goat butter stands out more when used directly than when cooked. Sheep butter is made from sheep's milk, which naturally contains more fat than cow's milk. That higher fat content gives it a richer texture and a deeper, more concentrated flavor. It behaves similarly in cooking, but it stands out more in applications where the butter itself is the main flavor. Clarified butter is butter that has been melted and separated with the water and milk solids removed, leaving behind almost pure butter fat. Without those milk solids, it does not brown the same way, and it will not burn as quickly under heat. The result is a cleaner fat with a higher smoke point, making it better for cooking at higher temperatures. It also melts more evenly without the bubbling and splattering caused by water evaporating. Ghee. Clarified butter that is cooked further after separation, allowing the remaining milk solids to brown before being removed. That extra step gives it a deeper, nutty flavor compared to regular clarified butter. With all water and solids removed, it remains stable over longer cooking times and at higher temperatures without burning as quickly, making it useful in applications where butter would normally break down. Beurre monté. Butter. That's been gently emulsified with a small amount of water, creating a stable, fluid mixture. Unlike melted butter, It doesn't separate as easily and can stay smooth over a wider temperature range. It's often used in restaurant cooking for poaching or sauces, where a stable butter emulsion is needed. Brown butter. Butter that's been cooked until the milk solids toast and turn brown, changing both flavor and aroma. As the water evaporates, the bubbling slows, and the solids begin to caramelize, creating a nutty, almost roasted profile. Unlike clarified butter or ghee, the brown solids stay in the fat, and that is where most of the flavor comes from. It is used to add depth to dishes without introducing extra ingredients, but it requires careful timing to avoid burning. Whipped butter. This is butter that's been aerated by whipping air into it, which, changes the texture without changing the composition. The added air makes it lighter, softer, and easier to portion. It's mainly used where texture matters, such as table service or for finishing, because it spreads easily and holds its shape. Now, spreadable butter is a bit different. That's butter that's been blended with vegetable oil to lower its melting point. That added oil keeps it soft even at colder temperatures, making it easy to use straight from the fridge. Because it's no longer pure butter, it has a looser structure and doesn't hold the same consistency. Raw butter is made from unpasteurized cream, where the milk has not been heat-treated before churning. That preserves more of the natural bacteria and enzymes, and it can slightly change the flavor and aroma. The difference is mostly in how it tastes on its own. Compound butter is butter that has been mixed with additional ingredients like herbs, garlic, spices, or sweeteners. This turns it into a concentrated flavor. As it melts, those ingredients release and spread, often forming a light sauce. It's commonly used on steaks, vegetables, or bread where it melts over the surface and distributes flavor evenly. Smoked butter is butter that's been exposed to smoke, adding flavor without changing its structure. The fat absorbs those smoky compounds, which remain even after melting. It behaves like regular butter, but carries a distinct savory depth that comes through immediately when used. Plant-based butter is made without dairy, and it uses plant oils like coconut palm and olive oil to mimic the structure of butter. Instead of milk fat, these products rely on emulsifiers and added water to create a similar texture. The result is a product that spreads and melts similarly, but it does not respond the same way in cooking and baking. European-style butter, on the other hand, is made with a higher fat content, typically between 82 and 84%, and often cultured before churning. The higher fat means less water, which affects how it behaves when heated. It browns faster and produces a richer result in baking. The culturing adds a slight tang that separates it from standard American butter, which is milder and contains more water. That combination is why it's used in high-end kitchens and why it stands out immediately when used for something as simple as spreading on bread. Buffalo butter is made from buffalo milk, which naturally contains significantly more fat than cow's milk, often above 8% before churning. That higher fat content produces a denser, creamier texture, and a richer flavor that is noticeable even without heating. It's less widely available than cow's milk butter, but is increasingly found in specialty stores. In cooking, it behaves similarly, but the higher fat content means it browns faster and produces a more concentrated result. Thanks for watching. Let me know what we should cover next and subscribe for more.